You sit in the seat, you need to talk about it. The seat is secured to the vehicle, no missing nuts and bolts, no cracks or damages. It's adjusted for me and my height. Of course, the doors will be closed. The examiner will be in the passenger seat. You explain to the examiner that your mirrors are also adjusted for me and my height. Mirrors secured to the bracket secured to the vehicle. There's no broken glass in any of my mirrors. I'm also going to check my seat belt, let them know that it's not torn or damaged and that it fastens properly. Yep. If you want, you can take it back off. We're not moving. You just need to show them that it does fasten. It's not torn or damaged. Once you do those three items, meaning seat belt, mirrors, that's your cue to start the engine. Anytime you start our vehicle, turn the key to the on position. There's a wait to start light at the top of the dashboard. Just wait for it to disappear. There it goes. Let's start the vehicle. From here, I like to work it left to right like a book. So I'm gonna start in my dashboard. I would like to check all my gauges. Just read what they say, nothing fancy. Water temperatures reading between 170 and 200. It's not overheating. My oil pressure's reading between 40 and 60. It's gradually rising. Don't worry about RPMs. Don't worry about miles per hour. Fuel, I got a little over half a tank. I have plenty of fuel for the test. Voltage is in the green, or you can let them know in between 12 and 14. And my air pressure, both gauges, are reading around 100, 120 pounds of pressure. Don't worry if it's at 90 or whatever, just tell them 120. It will build up to that point. They want to hear 120. Dashboard, I'm checking all my in-dash indicators, starting with my left blinker. It does light up, as well as my right blinker. The four-way flashes both lighting up, and my high beam indicator is lighting up in the dashboard as well. All indicators are working in the dashboard. Moving on to my wipers, I need to first make sure the arm of the wiper is secured to the truck. The blade is secured to the arm. The arm is tight to the windshield, and it's also not dry rotted or damaged. This time I would like to make sure they function, and it does. I'm also going to check my washer fluid. I do have washer fluid. Now that my windshield's cleaner, I would like to check the windshield itself. It's secure, not cracked. There's no chips. There's no illegal stickers obstructing my view. Back to the steering wheel. I'm going to make sure there's no more than 2 inches of play in my steering wheel, and my horn does work. Listening and feeling for my heater and defrost, so it's already on there. Just leave that. Just turn that to heat. Cut it on. Give it a little feel. Yep. Defrost works. Yep. Heater works as well. Heater and defrost is functioning as it should. With the automatic, you need to check all the gears. So you're going to start with reverse. Just checking that they shift properly. That's all we're doing. Going down each gear. Drive. 4, 3, 2, 1. Yep. All gears are shifting properly. If you use the manual, you're not going to have to shift. Don't worry, I'll remind you little things like that. I don't want you to shift in the manual, but you still, with both trucks, need to do the tug test. What we're doing is we're making sure the parking brakes hold on each one individually. Can't do them both at the same time because one might be holding for a failing one. So you got to do them individually. Doesn't matter which one you do first, just know the one you push in is not the one you're checking. Check the one that's left out. So right now I'm checking the truck. Very lightly hit the gas. Yep, we're not moving the truck. Parking brake is holding. I would like to do the same thing for the trailer. Very lightly hit the gas on the trailer. The truck is free. It can drag the trailer if you hit it hard enough. Let them know the trailer brakes are holding as well. At this point, I would like to put it back in neutral. You're going to lose a little air. Anytime you mess with a parking brake, a foot brake, any kind of brake with an air system in it, you lose air. So that's normal. Just know that once you do that tug test, that's what it's called, the tug test, put it back in neutral and build the air up. Anytime you build air up in this truck, it needs to be in neutral. The brakes need to be on. We're going to get it to about 15 RPM. Right? Any more than 15 is just over revving. 15 is fine. Any lower, it's going to take longer. Listen for the cutoff valve. Don't worry about the gauges. Listen for this noise. Right there. You hear that? You know the tank is full of air. We need it completely full. The next step I'm about to move on to is the air brake test. They're very strict with that. The pre-trip, we can get away with missing 8 to 10 items and still pass. The air brake test, we can't miss nothing. You got to be spot on, exactly how they want it. One thing that needs to be done is the air needs to be built all the way up. Right? So now I'm starting my air brake test. The simplest way to do this is remind yourself there's 3 things I must do. The people that fail, they forget one of these 3 or several of these 3. So these are the very important 3 things that need to be done before we even start the air brake test. Number 1, we need to cut the engine off. 2, directly after that, we need to turn the key back into the on position. We must have electricity in the dashboard to do an air brake test. Third and final thing, probably the most common mistake people forget to do, is release the brakes. You must release the brakes. That's why I put a wheel chalk in the wheel, so we rest on it. You don't have to put your foot on the brake, leave it alone. We're not ready yet. When we start the minute, we will push our foot on the brake, but we're not there yet. At this time, you need to explain what you're doing. Even though they know what you're doing, they still want to hear the explanation. Explanation is simple. I'm starting an air brake test. I should not lose more than 4 pounds of pressure in 1 minute. That's all they want to hear. I'm starting an air brake test. I should not lose more than 4 pounds of pressure in 1 minute. Ask the examiner politely, do you mind timing the minute for me? They'll have a stopwatch around their neck. They'll say, sure, no problem. From there, I would double check my 3 things. Brakes are in. You can touch these as much as you want before you start. Keys on, but the engine's not running. All right, I'm good to go. Because once I put my foot on this brake to start that minute, there's no turning back. All right. When you push your foot on the brake, push it all the way to the floor. If you hold it halfway, you hear noise. They might think it's a leak or something. You know what I mean? You got to push it all the way down. They'll start the minute. The air's gonna drop even a little more. It's normal because we put more force on the brake. It should stabilize though. So don't worry about that. Just tell them to start the minute. They'll start the minute. It will be a full minute with the examiner. For training purposes, we're just gonna speed past that minute. Once the minute's up, they'll tell you, sir, your minute's up. Take your foot off the brake. Let them know you didn't lose any air. Or you can tell them the line again. I didn't lose more than 4 pounds in that minute. I'm good to go. At this time, I would like to fan down to approximately 60 pounds of pressure to make sure my emergency lights and buzzers appear. Always talk first. A lot of guys like to get pump happy and they haven't told them why. You need to tell them every step. So 60 for the light and buzzers. And there they go. Now I would like to fan down to approximately 40 pounds of pressure to engage both of my parking brakes. For this, just watch the brakes. Don't worry about the numbers. Pump them until they're out. There you go. Done. Everything's functioning normally, or as it should. At this time, I would like to start my engine, build my air pressure back up to 120. Again, I'm listening for my cutoff valve. Should activate around 100, 120 pounds of pressure. There's one final thing you're going to want to ask of the examiners. As far as the preacher, I would wait until all this noise gets out of the way, but I'm telling you now just to get it over with. Wait for you to hear your cutoff valve, and then once you do that, ask the examiner politely, sir, ma'am, you don't mind doing the buddy system with me, hopping out, checking all my exterior lights. We've already checked that they're secure, they're not cracked or damaged, they're the proper color, but we have not checked that they light up. Check that the dashboard lights light up, but not the outside light. That's about 9 points, so make sure 9 easy points if you ask me. Don't forget to ask them. If you don't bring it up to them, they don't do it. Like, all right, this guy's missing out on the points. There's actually one young lady, she's very nice. They're all very nice, but she's super nice. If you do well, because she sees us almost every day or every other day, if you do very well, that doesn't make an excuse, you should probably still check the lights because you never know when the light goes out. But anyways, if you do very well, she'll say, I don't need to check this light. You've already passed, you got plenty of points, let's move on, let's go to these skills, which is a good thing for y'all. But still always bring it to their attention. You never know, you might need those extra points. If you're close, they'll help you, all of you. But you gotta be close. If you're fucking missing 10, 15 things, they ain't gonna waste your time on you. You know what I mean? You need like 2 or 3. They ain't gonna tell you what it is, but they'll probably give you hints. Like, so you sure you wanna stop right now? You sure you don't wanna look for something? That means you need to walk around and figure out what it was you missed. Keep in mind, you might have said the part, you might not have gave them the proper details. I'm telling you, they're stickler about those details. They want to hear those details. Properly secure, no missing nuts and bolts, CDL, no cracks, damages, or leakage. And the extra stuff on the other things. Any questions? That's it. That's pretty